Welcome to this explainer. Today we have one massive goal, and that is to permanently shift how you view money. We're going to completely move away from seeing money as just, an immediate spending tool, and instead really start understanding it as a structural tool for buying options. This isn't just about splitting hairs over financial definitions, it's literally about fundamentally changing how you operate day to day.
Let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered why two people can bring home the exact same paycheck, yet one eventually becomes completely, totally financially free, while the other stays utterly trapped in this cycle of high-stress work? I mean, we see it all the time, right? High earners who look incredibly successful on the outside, but feel totally suffocated by their own lifestyle. To figure out why this happens, we really need to look past the surface.
Think of richness like a giant fountain in a luxury hotel lobby. The water shoots up, it spills down, and it looks absolutely amazing to everyone walking by. But hey, that fountain isn't creating water out of thin air. It completely depends on the hidden plumbing, the pump, the pipes, the constant electricity running behind the scenes. So richness is that noisy, visible display. Wealth, on the other hand, is the quiet, hidden plumbing that actually sustains the whole shebang.
So here's the thing. Money isn't just something you earn. It's a structural mechanism. It acts as a signal, a buffer, and basically a tool for converting your time into future options. Think about the Dubai Metro network for a second. The physical stations literally dictate how easily the trains can flow. The trains are your cash flow, but the station, that's the structure. What really matters isn't the big number sitting in your bank account, but what that number can move, sustain, and allow you to do next.
Because of that structure, we so often mistake visible cash movement for actual strength. When a ton of money comes in and goes right back out to fund this lavish lifestyle, it feels like power, right? It feels like success. But movement is not wealth. Actually, scratch that. Movement is the illusion of wealth. The deeper question we really have to ask ourselves when we look at the engine of our finances is, what is actually generating that movement in the first place?
Let's look at the stark contrast between exhausting activity and true wealth. Imagine two people baking bread. Person A sells bread by the hour in a super busy market. They look incredibly busy, they're sweating, and sure, they earn money. But person B, they own the bakery, the oven, the recipe, and the customer list. See, true wealth is capturing your hard work into an asset that you own. It's about building an engine that just keeps working long after you pull your own hands away from the dough.
We absolutely have to realize that consumption often imitates success. You can spend money on the cars, the travel, the status symbols, and look really powerful. It's kind of like a smartphone, with the brightness turned all the way up, running 5 heavy apps at once. It looks super active. But if that phone isn't plugged in, all that activity is just going to drain the battery dead. True endurance only comes from a system that is actively charging.
And to build that charge, we need surplus. Now, surplus isn't just leftover money sitting around getting dusty, it is stored capacity. Think of it like a giant reservoir. A river is a flow of water, sure, but a reservoir actually holds that water so it can support life even when the seasons change and the rain stops. Surplus turns a temporary financial flow into lasting, permanent resilience. It's the critical buffer where wealth actually begins to form.
Getting to this point requires a massive shift in mindset. Instead of constantly monitoring visible success, you need to start evaluating durability. Richness tends to ask things like, well, how much came in this month? Or what can I spend this on? But wealth asks entirely different questions. It asks, what keeps producing? And what can I own? It's a complete pivot from asking what you can afford right now to asking how much freedom this purchase creates for you later down the road.
And honestly, answering those questions leads us right to the conversion chain. This is the actual tangible machine where wealth is built through repeated, highly calculated steps. Richness just converts income straight into lifestyle. Poof, it's gone. But wealth converts income into assets. Then those assets convert into cash flow. And ultimately, that cash flow converts into the ultimate goal, absolute freedom.
Part 1. How wealth accumulates. The hidden engine underneath.
So, people often imagine wealth arriving as this one single massive event, right? Like a huge inheritance or a giant company buyout. But in reality, wealth is a deliberate rhythm. It's a pattern of accumulation. You earn, you keep, you place, you let it produce, and then you repeat over and over. It's a steady rhythm that turns retained money into highly productive money.
And you can really watch how this builds through the sheer magic of compounding. Imagine person A takes 100 units of money and just consumes it all, gone. Person B takes those same 100 units and buys an asset that produces, let's say, 10 units a year. After 1 year, person A has absolutely zero productive base, while person B has 110 units of economic power. Wealth might look super boring and modest at first, but through reinvestment, it spreads like wildfire and quickly becomes a self-reinforcing powerhouse.
Which brings us to exactly why high earners so often stay broke. When your income rises, but your spending, status pressure, and fixed obligations rise at the exact same pace, well, you're left with absolutely zero retained surplus. Your extra money is immediately absorbed by lifestyle inflation. Sure, you have more motion in your life, way more stress, and way more busyness, but you actually have significantly less control over your future.
To break out of that exhausting trap, we must understand leverage. This is a real game changer. Wealth accelerates when you assign your money a specific job as an asset, creating a system where one single unit of your input does the work of many. You absolutely have to stop depending solely on your own daily hours to generate value.
To systematically multiply their effort, wealthy people separate their time from their earnings using very specific tools. They use capital leverage, meaning they make their money work for them. They use labor leverage, building systems where other people do the work. And they utilize technology, knowledge, and distribution to drastically scale their output. They design their lives so their structures are the ones doing all the heavy lifting.
Consider this real-world contrast. Imagine an expat living in the UAE pulling in a massive salary, but it entirely disappears into rent, luxury cars, and heavy lifestyle commitments. It's impressive, sure, but it's temporary cash flow passing right through them. Now contrast that with an expat earning a slightly lower income, but who consistently builds ownership, maybe a business stake or some rental income. Over time, that second person forms a permanent, unshakable structure right beneath them.
Part 2. From status to freedom. What is left behind?
Okay, let's tie this entire system together. Income creates your inflow. Surplus makes your accumulation possible. Assets store and generate that value. Compounding expands your base over time. Leverage multiplies the effect. And finally, freedom shows up as absolute control and choice. Every single one of these elements plays a critical role in reducing your dependence on constant, never-ending effort. The absolute crucial takeaway from all of this is a profound identity shift. You are no longer someone who mistakes mere motion for strength. You can now clearly see that a life organized around displaying success is entirely different from a life organized around structuring absolute control over your time and your decisions.
I'm going to leave you with this final thought to examine your own financial plumbing. Take a really close look at where your energy goes today and ask yourself this: what structures are quietly working for you right now? What is actually producing value in your life without needing you to wake up and restart the engine from zero every single morning? Think about it.